Just believe in yourself. You can make anything happen. Not every family is the right fit for every financial planner, and not every family is the right fit for the estate planning attorney.
Financial success isn't like this event where you wake up and you have a bunch of money. It's a series of decade-long answering these questions, doing this, doing that. And I'll tell them, I'll say, just get started. If you do 3 or 4 things towards your wealth, towards your estate planning, etc., a year, in 10 years, you've done 40 things.
If you don't think you have assets, if you don't think that you have anything to give your kids, if you have minor children, it's the perfect time to start planning for everything because you're just going to grow your wealth.
I almost see AI as a redo of the coming ages of the internet on steroids.
Depending on what type of practice you have, AI could be really, really great and a time saver, and it can do a lot. I just think with attorneys, you have to be very careful.
If you go back and give your younger self advice, what would it be? Welcome to today's PlanAssist Podcast, where we help people make better financial decisions. I'm Tim Clifford. I'm a certified financial planner, and I'm your host today. And we'll take us through different people throughout Florida and talk about their specialties that can help you make better financial decisions, kind of in the whole spectrum of financial decisions. I'm excited to introduce Samah Abukhodeir. She's a founder and managing partner of a firm in South Florida. Sam's an attorney that focuses on estates, trust, guardianship, elder law, special needs planning, and her career began in probate court system, serving the staff as an attorney in case management under a probate judge there in Miami-Dade. She also teaches probate, guardianship, estate planning at Florida International University and has been recognized repeatedly for professional excellence, leadership, and service. Her work intersects with family law, dynamics of real world decision making, and being a great conversationalist. So with that, welcome today. And I am excited to have a conversation with you today, Sam. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Tim.
So to get everything started, so just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I'll get into the Q&A piece of it.
Sure. So as you know, my name is Samah Abukhodeir. I am the founder and managing partner of the Florida Probate and Family Law Firm, where we help families going through the toughest times of their life, death and divorce. About half of my practice is family law, so think divorce, child custody, domestic violence, prenups, postnups, post-judgment, alimony, all the yucky stuff. And then the other 50% is probate, guardianship, and estate planning. So when people pass away, when people become incapacitated, or when people want to plan for their future. I started the firm about 7 years ago, and 7 and change. And I started the firm with just myself and a part-time law clerk. And now we are 50 plus team members all over the world.
Wow, good for you. Holy Moses.
And we also have 9 offices throughout the state of Florida. I was born and raised in a small town called Lake Wales, which most people don't know where that is in Florida, but it's in between Orlando and Tampa. And then I went to FSU for undergrad and FIU for law school, which is why I'm in South Florida now. Met my husband in law school. He's also my partner. He's a lawyer, and we're running this ship together.
Wow, what a great story. That's inspiring. And is one of your offices in Orlando?
It is not, but we are opening up an office in Orlando in the next couple of months.
Okay, that's awesome. I live in Winter Garden, which is just about 10 miles straight west of downtown Orlando. So, but to that point, clients don't typically need their attorneys to be in the same town as them because it's just a one-time meeting, et cetera. I mean, but it's more convenience for that first meeting than it is anything else, right?
I would say probably 99% of our clients are over the phone or email, and they're located all over the world.
Okay.
And the only time that people really come in is whenever they need to drop off original documents or sign estate planning. So although we have 9 offices, our clients don't really take advantage of coming in, which is a win-win for both parties because people have to work, people have things going on, so it's just easier.
I find that to be true too. And COVID changed everything. Zoom calls, I try to tell my clients that are used to and utilize Zoom, it is a much more productive call on Zoom than it is face to face by probably two times. Because I have all the tools, I have all the reports, they can ask me any question they want and I can kind of get to it. So I've kind of gone down the path of more Zoom calls, and then to keep the relationships, I'll do dinners and lunches and stuff with them, but I don't take a bunch of reports to the meetings.
Correct. I'm in
So
the same boat as you.
yeah. So, anyways, and I think that's true with a lot of professionals. So, with that, I start all these calls off with the first question, and then we'll kind of get into some more detail. But the first question is if you go back and give your younger self advice, what would it be?
To believe in myself and to I started this firm 5 years out. So I was practicing for 5 years before I started this firm. And my dream was never to start a law firm. I had never taken a business class in my life. And I was so scared of the risk. But if I could go back in time, I would tell myself, just believe in yourself. You can make anything happen.
Yeah, that's good advice. How soon after you starting your law firm did your husband join you, or did he join you out of the gate?
No, so he had his firm a year prior to me having my own firm, and he still has his own firm. We're in the process of finishing up his last 20, 30 cases, but the majority of his cases transferred over to my firm. He's working in my firm. We're working together. He's on management with me. And we did that when I got pregnant with my son, and that my son just turned three days ago. So it was about 3 years ago, 3 to 4
Okay.
years that we decided to do that.
So you both did kind of the hours, the mine, and now you're kind of doing the mine and hours kind of strategy.
Yeah, it just made more sense. We were going to a lot of business conferences and law firm conferences, and a lot of the advisors at the conferences were telling us, why are you guys practice the same areas. You have two different firms doing the same thing. Why don't you join forces and just make one firm a lot stronger? And part of me was scared that you're entering a marriage and then you go into business together and everyone tells you it's not going to work out, like it's a recipe for disaster. But then part of me was also intrigued because I know my husband's work ethic, he knows mine, and we have different strengths. We're complete opposites. So we took the risk, and honestly, it's been the best decision we've ever made.
That's fantastic. So, as you know, I'm financial advisor. I have a really small RIA practice in Central Florida. And one of the biggest challenges that I have when I get into the legal aspect of helping my clients, because obviously I'm not an attorney, so I need to send them to their attorneys, is this I will do it, but they never get to it, right? So it's just this constant kind of put it off, put it off. What are some of the like things you try to do to help clients with that? They have to slow down and take the time. And I think there's a couple reasons they do that. And I'm curious on your opinion and kind of dig into. I think one is they just put it off because of their personality, and that's what they do with probably a lot of stuff. But I think there's a lot of people that put it off because it is just so emotional and there's so many questions that they have to answer. They just can't get there from here. And I find that the people who are kind of on second marriages and have, children from other, that's the bigger challenge. And that's also the group that's probably the most postponing, where the people that seem to have relatively simple state, they seem to all have their documents in order, yet the other group probably needs it more than the first one.
You're absolutely right. Our biggest challenge is we're able to talk to people, we're able to get them a consultation, we're able to advise them and educate them. But then when it comes down to it, I think people just get scared with estate planning and with financial planning, to be honest.
No, correct.
They don't want to, this is my theory. They don't want to deal with what's going on in their lives. They don't want to think about what would happen if, God forbid, they pass or they become incapacitated. These ideas of something bad happening in their lives pushes them back and prevents them from moving forward with the financial planning and the estate planning that is so important. And my husband and I travel all over the state and give seminars, and we do Zooms, and we do all sorts of like educational seminars where we try to explain to everyone this is the perfect time to do it. If you don't think you have assets, if you don't think that you have anything to give your kids, if you have minor children, it's the perfect time to start planning for everything because you're just going to grow your wealth in time, right?
Yeah.
So if you do it now, God forbid you get in a car accident, everything's already planned out. Your family doesn't have to go to court and spend thousands of dollars on attorneys like us. Your family doesn't have to fight because if you come from a blended family or if you don't get along with your in-laws or something like that and they're fighting over custody of kids, these are all things you can avoid with proper estate planning.
And I think that's really good advice because that's the piece I just constantly tell, especially my newer clients, is financial success isn't like this event where you wake up and you have a bunch of money. It's a series of decade long answering these questions, doing this, doing that. And I'll tell them, I'll say, just get started. If you do 3 or 4 things towards your wealth, towards your estate planning, etc., a year, in 10 years, you've done 40 things. And next thing you know, you have this really nice document. And the one thing that just gets me so anxious with my clients is they think it's about when they die. And I'm like, that's not the point. That's actually like the way down the list of the importance of it because I can get your accounts titled right. So I can do transfer on death. I can do joint with rights. I can add your beneficiaries. With all honesty, I can get most of your assets to where you want them to go through titling. I said, what I can't do is if you get Alzheimer's and who makes your financial decisions. What I can't do is if you get into a hospital situation where they need to do some kind of medical surgery and the doctors say, who's going to make this decision and then no one has medical authority. The power of attorney, I can't take. If you have an individual account, your wife can't call me and say, send $10,000 if only her name's not on the account. So my point is it's so much more than just when they die.
You hit it on the head. You hit it on the head, Tim. People only think about the negative. Like I was saying earlier, they only think that this is because of death. And they think that the sooner they do it, the sooner they're going to pass. And what we try to drill and educate on is no, this does not mean that anything bad is going to happen. This is actually saving your family thousands and thousands of dollars, a lot of time and energy. It's saving them a lot. And if you have that car accident, which that's the highest probability of happening to people, right? If you get in that car accident and you're in a coma, it's too late. You can't make medical
That's right.
decisions.
Exactly.
If you want to be on life support, your family doesn't know what your wishes are. If you would have done your healthcare surrogate and your living will, we would have known what your wishes were. But that's what we try to drill. And then the other part that I also want to highlight, minor kids, minor children. If you have children under the age of 18, you don't understand. People don't understand what will happen to them if, for example, both parents are in some sort of freak accident, which we see all the time because we're probate attorneys, right? And we're family law attorneys. So family law and probate actually go hand in hand. If both parents are in some freak accident or something bad happens, you have to deal with temporary custody and family court, and then you also have to deal with guardianship court in the probate court, guardianship proceedings for each one of your children.
Wow. I never even
So,
thought about it. Two totally different courts that are almost competing.
correct. And then both judges have to communicate. You have your the dad's family and the mom's family, fighting over custody. And or the brothers and the sisters fighting over custody, and then you have people in guardianship court who are fighting over who's going to take control over the finances of the kids if something happens. So it's just there's a lot, and this can all be avoided with proper estate planning.
Which can be done in an afternoon. It's just not a huge challenge. So that takes me to, that was a really good summary. And I want to encourage people listening to this. Again, it's back to PlanAssist has three core principles. It has have a plan, be diversified, seek counsel. Those are the three kind of core principles to this whole podcast, to the whole PlanAssist process is the process. So the planning piece saves you enormous amounts of energy and time. And it's not a one and done. It's something you'll change over time. It's something you'll constantly do. So don't stress over, I don't know the answer forever. You don't need it. You need the answer for now and make adjustments as you go, right? I mean, that's financial planning and estate planning kind of in a nutshell.
Correct. Just because you do it today doesn't mean you can't change it tomorrow.
That's right. Exactly. I hit on that. So let's talk about my favorite subject and we'll kind of get into this and then kind of finish up on kind of, well, what else are you doing? But I'd love to have a conversation with where do you see AI in your business? Where do you see it kind of going? How are you utilizing it? Because, and I'll kind of set this up and set some context. Here's what's happening in the financial services business. And I was part of the internet coming too. So I worked at Schwab for 10 years when the internet was kind of coming about of age and stuff was going online. And back then I can remember everyone saying internet's going to get rid of all this, going to get rid of all these jobs and it's going to ruin all these careers and all that stuff. None of it came to pass. It ended up making everyone much more productive and actually more knowledgeable. I almost see AI as a redo of the coming ages of the internet on steroids, right? So it's way more than the internet, but it's kind of the same noise where it'll give you some good information, but it doesn't necessarily replace counsel, right? Or it can be part of counsel. And so that's kind of the piece I'm struggling with as an advisor is I have a really small practice. I only have 50 households, so it's about 75, 80 people, but I have about 20 that use it. Right. So I can't just put my head in the sand and say, okay, well, I don't have a process or a knowledge or how do I use it? Those 20, I need to be able to help them with it and kind of go through it. So that's kind of where I am on AI and kind of how do I use the best of it? What's kind of what are you seeing and where do you see it going?
So what I'm seeing in the legal AI space is a lot of attorneys using it in court. They're using it to help draft documents. And it's really interesting because there's a local administrative order here in South Florida that just came out by the chief judge, basically stating that if you use AI in any portion of your petition or your motion or your order or whatever it is that you're drafting, you have to disclose it to the court and to opposing counsel. Me personally and my
That's really
practice,
interesting before you kind of go from that. Really. So if I'm an attorney, so here's the part that I find just bizarre about that comment. So we'll go kind of the next one. Those guys all use templates for 20 years, right? I mean, like literally, you'd say, I want a will. They would go pull a template, some off the internet for God's sakes, but most of them had them in their thing. And then they would plug your names in and sell those documents to the clients. They weren't any more personalized than AI, right? I mean,
well, I would tell you, we don't pull a will just my practice. We don't pull an old will. That's an old practice. What we do is we use specific software and we plug in the specific information per client.
I
And
see.
then it spits it out for us. And then we have to go back and review every word of that document. So every will is not the same, but you're absolutely right in saying old school attorneys have a draft. They just change the names, change the addresses,
Yeah.
which is not the right way of doing estate planning. But you're absolutely right. There's not really a huge difference between doing what old school attorneys are doing and what AI is spitting out, in my opinion. It's not good practice though, because if there's one little mistake in the estate planning, you can get sued. So I would not use AI at
Okay.
all for estate planning. I would not use it for self-help. If somebody doesn't want to hire an attorney, I would not propose that as a solution because AI does not take the specifics of your family and your case. So it could mess something up really bad after you pass away and your family has to deal with it in court, and it defeats the purpose. You want a will and a trust to avoid probate court. If you make one mistake in that document, it brings your family into court. So,
So it did nothing. You wasted
correct.
all the money and time.
Correct.
And it could
And
be
my
something really simple. It could be one little section that you missed or go
correct.
through. Yeah, I believe that.
Now, in using AI in my practice, we do use it. We use it for drafting certain documents, meaning like letters to clients. If we need, I know that if they need help with certain verbiage, they'll ask AI to help with it. If we're trying to analyze something, we'll shoot it through ChatGPT. The newest thing is we went to a lawyer conference last week, and I was telling it's 15 law firms. It's a mastermind group. So we come together 4 times a year to discuss one issue per firm. And then everybody goes around the round table, gives suggestions on how to fix that issue. And I was telling them the 15 firms that were there,
Is it a whole day process? How long does that last?
3 day process.
Holy Moses, that's intense. Okay.
Yeah, so we're in a hot seat for about 2 hours per firm. And then there's a lesson that our coordinator, our facilitator gives every single day. So we're together from about 8 a.m. to about 7 p.m. in the classroom, and then we're at dinner until about 11 or midnight. So they're long days.
Yeah.
But one of the issues that I brought up was we're hiring for an HR manager at the firm, and we've received 7,500 resumes.
Sheesh. That's almost that's like
It's
that's
crazy.
like Coca-Cola level resumes.
It's crazy. And
Yes.
but there's also people that are applying without reading the job description that
Yeah.
have no
They're
experience. You know
going
what I
on to
mean?
AI and they're just spitting it out.
So then one of the suggestions was put it through AI and it will spit out the people who have experience and the people in South Florida and the people with whatever qualifications you have. I didn't even think of doing that, to be honest. I that would have never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
So there's an example of how AI could help. Did I do it? No. However, it's a good suggestion. So there are little things that it can help tweak your law firm and help with growth. We're also toying with the idea of having AI answer the phones. We haven't done it yet, but it's definitely something we're looking into.
So to your point about specifics, I tell clients this all the time. So you and I, our jobs are obviously massively different, but when we're talking to clients, I'm like, you can't take advice from like generalization advice. Like if you're listening to a radio show that's a really good presenter and talks really good, they can give you some good information, but you have to put it in the right category. I call it kind of formal, informal advice. And I said, when you get informal advice, that needs to be put on the same totem pole as all informal advice, meaning it's not specific to you, right? And specific to you is so important because I can't tell you how many times I'll have clients come in and they'll say, "What about this?" And I'm like, "That's a great idea for this kind of person or this situation. That's not your situation. So the answer is no, you don't want to do that, right? So that comes up constant. And then I don't use AI either for like financial planning or any of that kind of stuff. I'm very similar to what you're doing, but I'm very familiar with it because I need to engage with those few clients that are doing it, right? So I kind of know how they getting advice. That's how they're asking questions and going through a process. So I do use it quite a bit in that sense. And then the other thing that I find it incredibly helpful is the running of the business side, right? So all the okay, well, should we be doing this? How much should we be spending here? It's I find it incredibly helpful in helping me stay very disciplined in running the practice. Yeah, I mean, and that includes like emails to clients. That includes, like how often do I communicate with them? How do I get my tone right when I'm sending back a client? Those kinds of things. So that's the kind of stuff that I use it for.
Very cool. And I think that's a great idea, Tim. I
Um,
think depending on what type of practice you have, AI could be really, really great and a time saver and it can do a lot. I just think with attorneys, you have to be very careful.
right. Well, with financial advisors too, and accountants, right? I mean,
Yeah.
anything that you're kind of putting through numbers that needs to be personalized, it needs to be extremely thought through. Okay,
Correct.
cool. So the last thing that I had just to kind of throw out there to have a conversation around is we talked about estate planning, we touched on AI. Now, the one thing that doesn't affect very many people, but the few people that it does really impact, I find them really struggle with is the special needs, whether it's their parents who have Alzheimer's or that one of their children's is special needs and the other three are kind of on their own. That is a really difficult situation that no matter whether they have lots of money or have little bits of money, you have to have a bunch of documents to help them do that because it impacts everything. It impacts how much help they get from the state. It impacts, what happens if something happens to them, et cetera. So it's as important, in my opinion, as the estate documents, but it's real time.
So, great question. Special needs planning has always been part of my practice since day one. What we do locally is we go to different schools that have special needs programs and we talk to the parents about the importance of special needs planning. Because it's not just any estate planning, it's not going to any estate planner to get this taken care of. There are specific rules, regulations, things that need to be done with the planning for parents of special needs individuals. So, our approach of talking to different parents in the community and educating them on what needs to happen has been what's helped us get our name out into the community. And so even the judges will refer us, cases with special needs planning, special needs trusts, basically strategies that families need to take because the easiest way of thinking about this is if you have a special needs child and anything were to happen to the parents, who's going to take care of that child? They have special needs, right? So who's going to take care of them custody wise and who's going to take care of them financially? And then are they going to qualify for Medicaid or not? Do they need Medicaid? And if they do need Medicaid, then there's a special type of trust that they're going to have to qualify for that the estate planner is going to have to draft to ensure that they're able to get as many benefits as possible.
Yeah, as an example, if one of the parents passes and there's a life insurance and says, "Oh, well, I'll just give that to the special needs," you could actually be hurting that special needs person because all of a sudden now they have $100,000 and some of those benefits go away, right?
You're absolutely correct. And parents don't realize that. They think that they're leaving something behind, but the reality of it is they're going to have the child disqualified from benefits that are much stronger and much more needed than that $100,000 in cash.
Uh-huh.
It's not that they're not going to receive the $100,000 in cash, but the 100,000 has to be placed in a trust that is going to be overseen by a trustee, by a trust protector, and is going to be in compliance with Medicaid rules and laws.
Okay, cool. I think that's really good. And I do have a few clients that fall into that category, so that's I find that to be helpful to have someone who actually specializes in special needs, right? Because to your point, if a client asks me, I need someone that does special needs, I can't just send them to a normal attorney because it's such a niche part of the legal practice.
Correct. You should be sending them to a special needs planner.
Okay, so now just to kind of finish up, you kind of take over or give me some, what's the stuff I as a financial advisor that I didn't ask you that I probably should have, that should be things that we're talking about. And I want to kind of categorize, think of the client that's probably got, they've done really well financially and they got themselves five or 600,000, $1 million in a 401k, not much money outside. They've raised the kids, they got kids. Now what else am I missing? So we touched on special needs and estate planning. Is there anything else in family law that you bump into that?
Yeah. A couple things come to mind. Number one, you as the financial planner are that connection to that family. So if that family has a blended family, that's something that should be discussed in detail because that is something that the estate planner needs to know and needs to be prepared for. So just getting the family history. And then that leads to my second thing, which is making sure that you're connecting them to the correct estate planner as a financial planner. So not every family is the right fit for every financial planner, right?
Right.
And not every family is the right fit for the estate planning attorney. So I think a lot of things should be taken into consideration. One of them being culture, another one of them being religion, language, right? If a family's more comfortable speaking Spanish, right? Um, Finding a planner that's going to be able to understand them in Spanish is huge for the family,
Oh,
right?
good point.
So I just
And
think,
even if it's not, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to kind of touch on even if the main person speaks English, but two or three of them speak Spanish, then find the bilingual person that speaks Spanish fluently so that it's everyone's comfortable, right? I mean, that's kind of your
correct.
point.
Correct, because I think of my parents in this situation, right? Their first language is Arabic. And so I built my firm in a way that we have people my husband is Hispanic, he speaks Spanish. I speak Arabic. We have somebody who speaks Urdu and Hindi. We have somebody who speaks French. We have somebody who speaks Portuguese. So we've we've built the firm in a way that people who come from different backgrounds will feel comfortable working with an attorney with a similar background because sometimes that's really important for the family. Sometimes it's not, but I'm just saying these are things to consider,
Yeah, that's good.
especially with the demographic of clients you have.
That's really good advice and really good, to think through. Now, I have such a small practice. I kind of know kind of who's what and who it is, but for advisors that have 200 clients, they're going to need to be more intentional than what someone with a smaller practice like mine looks like, right? You know what I mean? Because I pretty much know pretty much in detail kind of everyone, but that's part of how a practice is designed. So to your point, some clients want, mass and others want different features and benefits and things they're looking for, right?
But those would be my two pieces of advice. I think that's what I've learned from the law firm life, that we have to adapt to what the client's needs are. And sometimes, you know, it takes us out of our comfort zone, but it's not about our comfort, it's about the client's comfort.
Exactly. I totally agree. Okay, so with that, why don't you give us a little bit about how to get a hold of you? Again, I'm in Orlando, but I primarily focus like you do on Florida, but you're even broader than I am. So why don't you just give us a summary of the practice and then how would people get in contact with you?
Absolutely. So again, Sam Abukhodeir with the Florida Probate and Family Law Firm. Our phone number is 305-677-5119. Our website is www.floridaprobateandfamilylaw.com. And if you're on social media, please follow me at Lawyer Lady Boss.
Lawyer Lady Boss. That's awesome. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today on today's PlanAssist podcast. And if you have any questions, do feel free to reach out to Sam or myself at planassist.com. Thanks.
Thank you.